Okay.
Welcome everyone to the Underground Sound. I am DJ X Tech. With me, as always, is Carlos Fandango. Today we do have a special guest, Rich Davis. We are putting the us back into music.
So please do like, subscribe, and share, and let's get your music out there.
Fantastic show that we had 2 weeks ago. Really great feedback on that. I guess the superstar of that show is going to be Jake Quincy. Before we get into all that, we're going to get. I'm going to do a little thing that I kind of prepared here, which is going to be today in music history. But before we get to today in music history, let's introduce and get a little bit of feedback on our guest commentator here, Rich Davis. Hello, sir. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. Well, musically, how long have I been playing? Since I was about the age of 12. I started learning piano when I was 12. And really, from then onwards, I've been performing. Well, I've done quite a bit of performing in sort of old people's homes, care homes, dementia homes, that kind of thing. So I've sort of gone out and done that, which I've really quite enjoyed, to be honest, because I think it makes quite a difference to people when they're elderly. They like the old songs, they like the ballads, which is the sort of thing that I like doing. I like classical, which isn't everybody's thing, but it's something I've been brought up with. So I play a lot of that. More recently, I've been playing in care homes up to probably about 2 or 3 years ago. Unfortunately, now I've had some spine operations, and due to one of them sort of going a bit wrong, I'm not to cut a long story short, I can't now carry all my equipment, like the PA speakers, this, that, and the other I used to take out. So unfortunately, I've had to stop the going out and performing, which I miss. This is probably why I've got into doing the Spotify thing, trying to get my music out there. From here, I've started composing my own music, probably I would say over the last 2 or 3 years, because I've had the time to do it, because I've been at home. I've not been going out performing in the care homes like I used to. So that's my way of getting my music out. It keeps me involved in music, even though physically I'm not going out there and performing, which I do miss. I wouldn't pretend, but always trying to get better. Piano's my main thing. I like to sing. It needs more work, but I have got some tracks out there which have got vocals with piano, which I've got on Spotify. But that's something I want to work on and try and get better at, because the keyboards, the piano is my main thing. The singing, I don't think I'm bad, but I can get better. So I play as much as I can. I practice when I can. I'm composing a lot of the time. I've got my iPad out. I've got my software where I'm manually composing with an Apple Pencil, actually writing the notation out, which I'm really finding that enjoyable. I'm trying to introduce more instrumentation. So my latest track that's coming out, I think it's 1st of October, and the one that's out now, I started bringing in strings, trying to bring 1 or 2 more instruments in, trying to be a little bit different rather than all my stuff being sort of very much ballads. I'm trying to be a little bit more adventurous in what I'm doing. So I'm learning. I don't want to get into the trap of sounding too samey, where that track's very much similar to the 2 or 3 that you've done previous. So I'm trying now to be a little bit more adventurous now, and I'm enjoying it. I love music. It's my main thing, to be honest. It keeps me sane, to be honest.
That's pretty much the same.
I love it.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same for Carlos and I. And I got to tell you, I do sympathize with you on the spinal injury, because I had neck surgery.
Oh, have you?
About a year and a half ago, and I actually have an implant in with a plate that's bolted into place.
Have you? Yeah.
As far as lifting and everything like that is concerned, I can no longer do any of that as well. I have a 15-pound lifting kind of like restriction going on. Let me ask you, because it's a really noble thing that you're doing, playing to dementia patients. I mean,
used to love it. Yeah, it was really rewarding.
So just aside from your own internal feeling of kind of like satisfaction and that you're giving back and things of that nature, did you notice that there would be kind of like a change in psyche with the patients that were there just listening to the music?
Yeah, definitely. They would like reminisce. Quite a few of them, their short-term memory was quite poor. Maybe like what they had for dinner today, they couldn't remember. If you played something from, say, I don't know, the Second World War that's many, many years ago, they would just start singing along. They'd engage, even if they couldn't engage verbally, which in the case, a lot of them, they couldn't. They maybe tap the leg, tap the thigh, clap the hands. You could tell it was doing something for them. It was helping them to come alive, feel motivated, maybe reminisce about nice things that have maybe come in the past in their lives. And you would maybe see ones that maybe looked a bit sad when you got there, but at the end there seemed to be a change. They seemed happier, they were smiling. A number of them will come up and chat to me, and for me it was, you do see a change, and that's the most rewarding bit for me.
It's incredibly touching, isn't it? How music can actually connect with people at such a deep level around the world.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, Carlos and I have said it, a million times over, is that music is the universal language. I'm pretty sure that all three of us can pinpoint,
I would totally agree with
songs to specific portions in our lives. And just as you're talking about dealing with dementia patients, them having a recollection of some kind is absolutely fantastic. I applaud you, and I'm sure that Carl applauds you on doing what you have done, and obviously wishing you obviously the biggest success in the world as time goes on here for you, especially considering your new limitations.
Yeah, I think as long as I can be involved in music in some fashion or form, that brings me pleasure. So that's
keep the sanity, as you had said, right? So
exactly,
keep this busy, and that keeps this busy. I don't want that to become dormant ever.
No, you don't want to start thinking about mundane stuff like that. Light switch is a little off, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And watch this space as well, because Rich and I are actually working on a track together at the moment.
We are, yes.
Yep, I sent Rich across a little ballad, and I thought, well, it sounds like it needs piano. And having with the fact that we'd already featured Rich on a previous show with a Soul Searching, lovely song, lovely track, I thought, I think I'll approach Rich and see if he can put piano on, because I haven't really done a stripped down piano and vocal ballad at all. Yeah, everything's all a bit overblown really with a lot of what I do. So I thought, well, let's try something really a bit more sparse and but very emotional all the same. And Rich is really already, we're just sort of going back and forth with different ideas.
With takes and
developing the song, and it's really looking good. It sounded great, and Rich is putting all his excellent embellishments and things on there, and classical touches and things. Lovely, really good.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it.
Well, I will say chop chop, fellas. The holidays are coming around, and Christmas will be here before you know it. And just to touch on the Christmas bit a little bit here, Carlos is making a crap ton of lyric videos, and which we look forward to releasing. And obviously, once again, Nathan Brashear, the sponsor of today's show, I'd like to say thank you, Nathan, for sponsoring the show. Nathan is, of course, the mastermind of Monsters Are Real, and he does have a very nice Christmas surprise in store for you, to which I will be building the music video of. So I'm kind of looking forward to that myself, because Yeah, it's just it's a lot of fun. The idea that he has and the music that he puts out is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So once again, Nathan is a very long time friend of the show. Has supported, and sponsored many videos for that matter. We've had sponsors here and there, but Nathan has definitely been one that's been on the higher end of that. So I consider him more of an investor and a friend than a sponsor. Really, so thank you very much for that, Nathan. Today, I wanted to try something new. We started to do this a little while back ago, and we just kind of like lost our rhythm with it. But I figured today in music history. So today is September 25th, 2022, and today in 1956, Elvis Presley's "Love Me Tender" becomes the first single to sell 1 million copies before its release. How cool is that, right? 1961, Bob Dylan plays a show at Gertie's Folk City in New York and earns him a glowing review in the New York Times, giving him his first major media exposure.
Wow.
1970, on today's date, Ringo Starr releases "Buku of Blues." 1989, new wave duo Tears for Fears released their third album, Seeds of Love. It's the last TFF release to feature Kurt Smith, who relocates to New York to pursue a solo career after an acrimonious split with the band. Ronald Orzabal, they reunite in 2004 for Everybody Loves a Happy Ending. It was Tears for Fears. And you guys may know something about this one here. 2003, indie rocker Matthew J dies at age 24 from an unexplained fall from a London apartment building. Do you guys know who Matthew J is? This is the first time
I've never heard of him.
I just kind of thought that, since you guys
preceded it with the word 2003 or 2004. That was me out. I'm out.
All righty. And last but not least, in 2012, two con artists, Alpha Lorenzo Walker and Tamara Diaz, are sentenced to 292 days in jail and 3 years probation after an attempt to blackmail Stevie Wonder. The pair had somehow obtained and created a video portraying Wonder in a negative light and were demanding $5 million under the threat of releasing it to the public. The pair were caught in a sting operation. So that worked out for Stevie, it seems.
Yeah, well, who knew? I never heard of that one.
Yeah, I didn't. No, definitely not.
Interesting tidbits right there in the music world, and we are on with this show. Carl, what can you tell us about our first song here today?
Right, our show starter this week is so we've got a chap called Lucas of Maine, a 23-year-old indie pop artist from Kennebunk, Maine, now based in Chicago, Illinois. He says, "I love telling stories with music." And this particular story with the music is called The Grid. I suppose we can give you a bit more meat on the bones here. So basically, it says here, came out on the 12th of September. The Grid is a queer anthem disguised as a song living anonymously in the city of Chicago. It's distorted, melodic, and energetic. The lyrics are about gay dating app, which is actually how I met my boyfriend, a co-writer of the song, plus an awesome guitar solo. Take it away.
All right, let's check it out. Lucas of Maine with The Grid.
Mask up the masculinity. Watch out for fake affinity. Silhouette, deliver and send. A couple hours gone in bed. Mask off and lose your dignity to gain the possibility to breathe again and make amends with all the thoughts deep in your head. Well, that life in the grid, yeah. Well, that's life in the grid, oh yeah. I'm making wonderful mistakes. I got myself in one today. Another minute all alone just makes me wanna do something. I love could stay still, I know exactly what to say. Another minute on my own and I'll just host a masquerade. Well, oh yeah, alright. It feels good looking back in hindsight. Oh yeah, alright. It's all good. We should go again tonight, 'cause that's life in the grid. Oh yeah. Well, that's life in the grid. Oh yeah. Life in the grid. Oh yeah. Well, that's life in the grid. Oh yeah. Oh
That was Lucas of Maine with the grid. Carlos Fandango, take it away, sir.
Right. Okay. Well, really pleasantly surprised when I first heard this song because it was very poppy and contemporary, very radio friendly, catchy, memorable. With the particularly with the sort of little the female voice saying "in the grid," in the grid, all that kind of thing. And I can imagine with the "oh yeah, all right," all that kind of bit, you could imagine a call and response section. So live, it would be a good song. It would convert well live. People would be up bouncing. It's a very uplifting song as well. Well produced, nicely handled, nicely managed. The structure and everything. And this, I'm always on about ebb and flow, but it sort of had a lot of that. It after the second verse, you sort of kind of feel like it's going to build up into a chorus, and quite cleverly, it didn't. It then sort of did this other little bit that was that sort of muffly sounding sort of production part, which is that modern sort of sound, and then it went into chorus. So actually I thought it was quite a nice little clever twist. So somebody who, if it's Lucas producing this, then he's done a very good job. So all in all, very catchy song. Could find myself singing along quite happily to this queer anthem.
Rich Davis, our guest commentator, what say you, sir?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was catchy. It was a song that you would remember that song quite easily, to be honest. I noticed there was quite a nice sort of synth riff in the background, like a sort of synth bass riff, which I liked. It had a good structure to it. I agree with Carlos. The production was very good. It's very clear. But the production was very well balanced. It's not normally the sort of thing I would focus on listening to, but yeah, I was surprised. It's a catchy song, and yeah, I liked it. I think it was a very good job.
I think absolutely 100% pro production on this one.
Definitely, yeah.
Somebody either as Lucas of Maine states here, either him or his boyfriend, who was the co-writer of the song, plus an awesome guitar solo. I gotta mention the guitar solo. It was
towards the end, yeah.
And it wasn't really overwhelming, right? It really just added to the song instead of just being the guitar solo by itself, which a lot of rock songs do. But I mean, the electronic elements that were there, as Carl was saying, like the little ebb and flow of the nice little in the grid, and you could hear that in the background. Drums were really poppy. I loved it. I love the poppy drums because this is it's labeled as alternative pop. I would definitely put this in an alternative kind of like rock category myself personally, just because really poppy. The FM kind of like modulation, I think it's an FM modulation on the vocals.
Yeah.
Well, but they had a couple of sections there where you could tell that there were layers of vocals going and making this song as I'm going to say as awesome as it is here. Left it a few fires, as I'm pretty sure you saw. And yeah, loved everything about it. Pro production, guitar solo, great. Lyrics are great. The vocals are great. I think that this band is off to a great start, if it is their start, because coming out tomorrow, 9/12, way before again, I want to say taping of the show, but the recording of the show, it's just yes, the age will come through sometimes, but I think very well done. And unfortunately, there's no more links to Spotify or Apple Music or anything like that. As Carl had mentioned a few times, that's a little tedious to do in itself. It is. I get it. I usually had mine kind of like saved on a template, kind of like piece of paper, being pasted. But I think that Lucas of Maine is going to be going places. Honestly, because if this is going to be an example of a song that's done kind of like, let's say, like in a home studio, rather it sounds like a completely pro production. Honestly,
it does.
It really does. It really does. So I'm very pleased with our show opener here, Lucas of Maine. Folks, if you're joining us and you want to know more about Lucas of Maine, you should know at this point where to find them. But if you don't, if you're a first-time subscriber and you're here for the first time, in the video description below is where you will find the links to all these fantastic artists. Please click on those links, show some love. Believe me, you're not going to hear stuff like this on the radio. On the radio, when you turn it on, you're going to hear the same stuff that you've been hearing here on the Underground Sound. We are focusing on the indie musicians, and because this is, once again, absolutely incredible music to start off the show. Underground Sound, we are putting the us back into music.
So please do like, subscribe, and share, and let's get your music out there.
There we go. And now, Carlos Fandango.
Now, this link I've just discovered, this link for the song that was City Light, the instrumental version, looks like Alienor, the artist. You'll have to type in the artist name and just we'll play her most recent track, because that song's been taken down since I added it to the list. It must be that she's added updated the song since then. So if you look up Alien or all one word. And
so, I have two results for Wanna Dance and one for Don't Give Up.
Yep. So Wanna Dance is the most recent one.
Wanna Dance.
Alienor is from Saint Etienne in France. There's not a lot of information about her here, but in her bio it just says patati patata. And that's it. But this song is looking for a singer, so this is a good opportunity to put the track out there for if someone's put a vocal on it, perhaps.
I'm gonna say Rich Davis says he wants to work on his vocals. Rich Davis, maybe get in touch with Alienor here and see if she wants to dance with your vocals.
Oh my goodness. Hasn't heard me sing yet.
Right, so I guess we better hear Wanna Dance and see what it sounds like. I think she does very much electronic sort of synth pop type stuff, retro synth.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it. I like the graphic artwork because this looks
impressive.
it looks like very Tron style kind of artwork here, kind of futuristic video game kind of stuff. But I would say, how do you feel about this, Carl? Because usually we're talking about radio friendly songs being just about under the 3-minute mark, or just right around the 3-minute mark. So we got 3 minutes and 41 seconds here. How do you feel as a radio friendliness as far as the 3 minutes and 41 seconds goes?
Perfectly fine. I was listening to Hello, Lionel Richie the other day and thinking what an amazing song it was. And it was 4 minutes and 20, 4 minutes 18, something like that. And it didn't feel like it because it's such a good song. I mean, it was so good. And it just goes by in a flash because it's that good.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like a way it does not seem like a 4-minute song.
No, I think the issue with things having to be radio friendly at 3 minutes or under is purely, I mean, I know it used to be this way anyway. A lot of the songs from the 50s and 60s were 1.5 minutes, 1 minute 45, 2.5 minutes. A lot of the Beatles songs were around 2 to 2.5 minutes, but they were crammed with so many good things and interesting points of interest in them. But I think the point that everything has to be 3 minutes or under at the moment for being radio friendly is twofold. One is that people's attention span is so shockingly bad these days, and two, the music isn't as interesting, so it can't carry you for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes like Bohemian Rhapsody, you know, and 5.5 minutes, 5 minutes 45 like Mr. Blue Sky. So
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not the length of the song, it's the quality of the music. As far as I'm concerned.
I completely agree. So let's see if Alienor here can live up to the hype here. So 3 minutes 41 seconds. Wanna Dance, also available on YouTube. So the link is there, but the link for Slaps will obviously be in the video description. But for right now, once again, Alienor with Wanna Dance, and Alienor is looking for a singer. So if you're up for it, get in touch with Alienor. I have more or less said that I do believe that electronic music is the classical music of our time, just because there's no instruments. There's no vocals involved into it, right? But looking for a singer. Since we have a classical music expert in the house here, Mr. Rich Davis, please take this one away.
It's an interesting track, actually. I liked it. I'm not sure that it from my point of view, I'm not sure that it needs a singer. I think the sort of synth sounds, I don't know whether towards the middle, whether they're like they sound like arpeggios to me going up and down. Where it changed, I thought that made it really interesting, and then the sort of textures built up as it went along. I liked it. I'm not sure for me whether it would need a singer. I think maybe it could be built up a bit more, maybe with sounds. But as it is, I thought it was good. It's got a very full sound. It's catchy. There's a nice change in the middle, as I say. I don't know whether it's an arpeggiator because I'm not a synth person, so I might be waffling. But it sounds like those little arpeggios going up and down, and I thought that created a lot of interest, and that interest carried on from the middle all the way through to the end. I thought it was very good, but I personally, I think it's good as it is. I'm not sure where a vocal would fit in, but that's only my point of view. I'm not saying I'm right. I may well not be, but that's just my opinion. But I liked it. It's very catchy.
Monsieur Fandango.
Okay. Well, actually, this is interesting because we'd followed each other, Alien and myself, and I'd mentioned to her, because on one of her other tracks she'd mentioned about a vocal singer or something, and I'd sort of said, "Oh, if you ever got any tracks, just send them through, and you know, I'll see what I could do with them." And interestingly, because the time was different, I didn't realise this was the same track as the one she sent me to have a sing over and have a go, because the one that she sent me is 2 minutes 50. It's a slightly different version. It hasn't got all the bit on the end. Now, with that in mind, I'm sort of have a vested interest in this one anyway, but now I realise this is the actual same song. So, right, reviewing it without having heard, imagining I hadn't heard it before, then it's very sort of 80s synth pop, end credits of a space film or something on video, or Stranger Things it would fit into nicely. The arpeggiator, you're right, Rich, it wasn't up.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, the arpeggiator just does all that, which makes, I love all that. And the synth sounds retro, brilliant. The interesting thing on that 4/4 beat, because that thing at the start with this sort of arpeggiator at the start, it's changing chord every 12 beats over a 4/4 beat, and that's quite an interesting touch because it just puts you sort of slightly off kilter. I think that whole up to about 1 minute 10, it's probably a very long intro. I mean, I've got ideas as to how you could fill that and make it interesting, but I don't. For me, I would be developing the song a bit more and just or cutting that down by about half and developing it earlier into that change section, which is where the song really gets going.
Yes,
so I think
the middle,
it took a little while to get going, because you think it's about a third of the song to get going is quite a long time. So I think bear that in mind. But the version I've got is got that long intro, but I've got ideas for it. But I'm hearing vocally, it can stand on its own, although I'm hearing a sort of Alphaville sort of sound. And I don't know if you remember Alphaville, but they did Forever Young and Big in Japan. Now, that kind of vocal, I forgot what the vocalist called now, but that's what I'm kind of hearing. So, and I think, it's got a lot of potential. It's got very sort of spacey sort of feel to it to me, although it's called Wanna Dance. But I feel like it's sort of like a space voyage or something epic. It's a bit of Muse in there as well, with the Knights of Sidonia, that kind of feel.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. Muse is definitely, I'm going to say, an inspiration here. Maybe not an inspiration, to her. So I did patati patata.
Yep.
In Google Translate, and it's just potatoes.
I wondered if it's like, you say potato, I say potato. It's potato.
I kind of thought the same thing, but I put it in, and initially the translation came up as Corsican. I changed Corsican to French, and it basically is the same thing: potatoes. So potato singular and potato plural. Listen, I don't know if you saw my comment in there or not, but this has got a video game soundtrack written all over it. Okay, this is a very licensable song to a high energy video game, like a racing video game, something of that sort. You know, I could definitely see it in there. It was kind of confusing going from kind of like a 32 beat, you know, intro to a 12 to a 16 to an 8, and just kind of like what you're saying, that kind of threw me off a little bit. But to Rich's point, I don't believe that a singer is necessary in this song. I don't believe that vocals would be necessary. I think the song is very licensable on its own, the way that it is, and for the BPM, for the tempo that it's at, I think that if you had added vocals into it, you would have to pitch them up, like, you know how like they have some of these techno songs that are kind of like have this very fast-paced singing, which kind of sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks, kind of, right? So I think that the song is fine on its own. I definitely would trim about 20 seconds, maybe even 30 seconds off of the intro, as Carl was mentioning, and I would put some kind of texture in there as a build up, maybe some strings behind it until it actually hit that, you know, that first beat, and then kind of like take the song off from there. I think that personally, in my opinion, would be a nice build up into the song. But overall, production wise, I think that there needs to be a producer's ear put to this, because it kind of sounds like the equalization is pretty much the same all the way through, but nothing that can't really be cured with, you know, with a little bit of work spent on the track, you know, mining the lows and the mids and the highs, and then kind of just rearranging it that way. But all in all, I got to say, you know, decent song, and once again, very licensable to video games the way that it is. So I enjoyed it.
Good.
And now,
it's that time.
It is that time. The Purple Bowl of Destiny.
Here it is.
There we go.
Right. So shall we allow our guest to call?
Absolutely. Guest
right, I'll do the usual. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Shivaya. Right. You say when, Rich, and I'll stop.
Now.
Right. Okay. Oh, only 2 came out, so I'm just gonna. Right. Okay. What have we got? Oh, that's the one we haven't had before. If it comes up, it's going to be worse.
Is that Latin?
Latin, indeed. Yes. Wow.
I'm sure we got to be able to find something Latin here.
I don't know what the most recent Latin upload will be, but it'll be interesting to see.
Oh, look at this. Latin actually has 10,593 members.
So it should have a few tracks in there, recent ones.
Let me start selecting the screen here.
I don't even know if I've got... Latin, there we are.
10 and 10. Crikey, there's a lot of members.
Yes, sir. 10.6 thousand members. Look at that.
10.6 thousand, yeah.
3.4 thousand tracks, 107.6 thousand plays in total. So this is the newest one, posted 16 hours ago. Aikido. Let's check out Aikido here. Aikido is actually from Charlotte, North Carolina. 10 followers, 38 plays with 2 tracks. Espero les gusta mi música. Carl, you know Spanish better than I do, so.
I don't really. I'm thinking tarde Miami. It's got to be late in Miami, is it?
I don't know.
I'm going to. Let's do the Google Translate.
Well, espero que les gusta mi música is I hope you like my music. And then if we go tarde in
translation,
tarde in Miami. Oh my goodness! You know, I grew up in Florida. Late in Miami, it is.
Yes, you got it right.
So, yeah, I should definitely know more Spanish than
I feel like I should,
having grown up in Florida.
So what do we know?
Right. So, Tarde in Miami is an iconic album from Aikido. Please enjoy the song and share and stream with the rest of the album. It is labeled as Latin and Latin Trap. It is also available on Spotify and Apple Music, as we can see with the symbols here. Once again, if you don't know where to find these artists, obviously hop into the video description below. Links to these artist pages, the way that we are reviewing them, will be there, and then you can hop onto Spotify and the Apple Music sections of these artists and check them out. Please be sure to spread some love. A lot goes into their music. Without further ado, let's get this one underway. Tarde in Miami by Aikido.
El destino nos trajo juntos, yeah. Ha pasado el tiempo, yo más seguro, yeah. Carita de ángel y un cuerpito que me llama por mi nombre. Siento que los besos cuando tocan nuestros labios yo me prendo. Tomamos viajecitos, nos fuimos de rumba pa' donde fuimos, ey. Tú y yo en Miami, yeah. Pasando toda la tarde en Miami, olvida los problemas uno así. Me gusta que tú estés juntito a mí. Imagine que estamos en Tahiti, yeah. Pasando toda la tarde en Miami, junto a olas tomando Bacardi. Un día estaremos en un buen Ferrari. Tu amor pa' mí es un tsunami, yeah. Andamos bien borrachos, yeah. Todo este mundo, vete tú y yo, bailando pegadito, ya. Perreo entre tú y yo, sentimos todos los ojos y nos vale. Un cambio de energía toda la tarde. Baby, te amo, nuestro es un arte. Yo pienso en cómo quiero tocarte, yeah. Pasando toda la tarde en Miami, olvida los problemas uno así. Me gusta que tú estés juntito a mí. Imagine que estamos en Tahiti, yeah. Pasando toda la tarde en Miami, junto a olas tomando Bacardi. Un día estaremos en un buen Ferrari. Tu amor pa' mí es un tsunami, yeah.
Carlos Venego, take it away, sir, as soon as I pause this. Sorry about that. The pause this. Carlos Venego, what'd you think?
Well, actually, sound-wise, that was, I don't know if it was just my cans or anything, but it was quite echoey on the end and the start of that one. Middle of the song was fine, oddly enough. But yeah, you got that reggaeton sort of Latin Despacito sort of rhythm going on there. Very popular, certainly very clubby in that respect. Pretty radio friendly, and it was a bit sort of Justin Bieber sort of flavored, I would say. Yeah, in that sort of vein. Yeah, I mean, it was actually quite surprisingly better than I kind of imagined. But it's not my normal sort of music I listen to. But I, you know, objectively, you know, I think a lot of people would probably quite like that one. It's very summery. Yeah, you can imagine being on a sunny beach somewhere, sipping some cocktails and chilling out to the music. So yeah, it's pretty good track, really well produced and short and sweet, radio friendly in that respect. Not my cup of tea, but it will be potentially a lot of people would like it, I think.
Mr. Rich Davis, what say you?
Yeah, it's an interesting track. I noticed at the start there was a bit of, I think, acoustic guitar. I don't know whether it was like a flute that was sort of going da da da. I'm not sure what it was, but that definitely had a real sort of Latin feel to it. So I could feel that sort of Latin part almost straight away. The production was very good. Beats and the drums, maybe I should call it beats, I thought were very good. The track's very catchy. It's the sort of thing you would probably, people who like going clubbing would probably like a dance to that, I would think. Like Carlos, it's not normally my kind of thing, but it's a catchy track. I think the production was very good. Apart, I think at the start and maybe more towards the end, it maybe sounded a little bit too loud at my end. I think the vocal towards the end maybe sounded a tiny bit distorted, or it might have been what I'm hearing through my speakers, possibly. But yeah, it's well done. It's well produced. It's catchy. Very good sort of club track. You know, for people who like that sort of music, I would thought they would engage with that very well.
I
for somebody whose taste that's aimed at, I think they'd like it, definitely.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Is you know, it has a jazzy feel to it from the beginning. I think that Russ Palladino would have enjoyed that with that jazzy feel to it. But this song has actually a few things going for it. Is that, you know, it has a boom boom boom, so it has like kind of like a 4/4 beat going on, which puts it in that clubby face. But it does have that jazzy feel with the kind of like hip hop elements to it. So it's mixed very well, and the production is good overall. To your point, Rich, what you were saying is towards the end, it sounded like the vocals were getting a bit louder. I think I think that was just cause and effect of, you know, of the music traveling over, you know, 5,500 miles.
I
think that's it, because in my cans here it sounded just fine. But you know, the drums I like, especially because if they were done on a drum machine, they were done pretty well, because they do sound like live drums. They do sound like real drums. So the bass kick was good. The electro portion of it was good. The hip hop portion of it was good. I like the general production of the song overall. So it does definitely, I could definitely see this being on the radio on a Latin channel, somebody driving down the street in Miami, having the you know, volume turned up. And I could definitely see this in like, let's say in a salsa club somewhere, you know. So very, very well done right there. So great job. The Purple Bowl of Destiny was just like,
yes.
I was like wiping my head. I was like, what can we expect? What can we expect? But
it's always a worry, but it's only really let us down maybe once or twice ever.
Like 2 times.
Yeah, I mean,
like 2 times, and it wasn't really even letting us down.
Not really, no.
Yeah, it was just the fact that the songs needed a major production overhaul. You know, it's kind of like getting a flat tire in your car and then putting a bicycle tire on it. You know, it just doesn't work. So, you know,
doesn't work, does it?
Yeah, if you had actually put the spare tire on it, then it probably would have been fine, right? But
indeed,
onto our 4th track here, though, and we're kind of like breezing through this as we usually do, and it's just goodness. I always say time flies when you're having fun. I'm very much enjoying having Rich on the show here. I do like the 3-person setup here, and I got to say that once again, welcome to the Underground Sound. We are putting the us back into music,
so please do like, subscribe, and share, and let's get your music out there.
We are on song number 4 of the day today. This is episode 11. I want to make a little correction on what I said last week, or I should say the last show, not last week. But I was making a comment towards the end of that show where it was the 10th show, and I said that we have reviewed 50 songs, 20 of which came by way of the Purple Bowl of Destiny. Now, there's only one portion of that that's actually true. 20 of which did come by the way of the Purple Bowl of Destiny, but we have reviewed 100 songs. 10 times 10 episodes is 100 songs. It is not 50. So that's just one correction that I want to make.
I'd like to correct you even more, because remember the first show was about, I'd overestimated the amount we could get through in the time, and it ended up being a marathon 60-hour show and also, and but it was we got through about 13 tracks.
Yeah,
tracks.
we did. We did quite
maybe
a bit.
15.
Yeah, we did quite a bit.
Well, we've reached the 100 mark at least for definite.
Well,
so
let's just say with the let's just say 100 just for the sake of argument here. For the new subscribers that have hopped on board, I hope that you enjoy our show here. For the subscribers that have been here, we hope that you enjoy the show today as it is, and thank you for being around, and thank you for all the new subscribers for actually hopping on board. And we definitely strive to do the best that we can to bring you an entertaining show here with the newest in indie underground music from all genres. As you can tell, we are not fixated on just listening to alternative or alternative rock or heavy metal or Latin, as the Purple Bowl of Destiny has just shown us. We do listen to everyone, and we try to do the best in promoting everyone as we possibly can. So, Carl, what can you tell us about track number 4 for today?
Okay, track number 4 is by artist Koha, Koha, and the song is called Guide It to the End. Now, Koha is from, I think, solo singer-songwriter from New Jersey in the USA. This one tells the story of a couple who find each other during a hard time in their lives, only to grow apart as one decided to take whatever steps necessary to improve their situation without considering the other one or the ethics of what they're doing. And I'm thinking, is this the writer has done bad and just trying to sort of make good and make amends, or is this a man scorned? Who knows? We shall find out when we hear it.
Boy. That does sound interesting.
Deep, heavy relationship stuff here.
I guess. Hey, 11 followers, 125 plays. Not too bad starting off for Koha here. Also available on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Says please consider liking on Spotify. We do support that statement as well. Please do consider liking on Spotify. Remember that you can find the links to these artists in the video description below. Go and show them some love. Without further ado, let's check this one out. This is Koha, Guide It to the End.
Through the eyes that cannot see, beyond the hands that had no dream, took a chance through a doubt. There was a mask, a spark, excuse to take us far. In the small and cluttered room, a light of something new, a fuel, a hope, a struggle, few, a kiss, the cold, it's me and you. Come to make true, and not to right by you. Guide it to the end, give it words to speak, bring it now to life and see all that it could be. Close the thoughts away, best when I stay. It's not hopeless, let me eyes now see. Through a smile and a walk in the snow, years, the touch, perceive our part, just enough for a start. There you are, a joy, a warmth, a step to take us far. Unsure if we'll make do, to cheapen something good. We talk, you walk, it's me and you, but now it's up and I go. Time is up and the hind gives up, when the hate runs cold and all the stars grow old, still they linger on till they've moved
time leaves no mark of us.
Guest commentator, Mr. Rich Davis, give us your thoughts, sir.
Yes, I like that. I like the acoustic guitar and also that sort of shimmering guitar in the background, which I think goes pretty well all the way through the track, is really nice. It really complements it. The vocals come through great. I think there's quite a lot of reverb on the vocals, but it suits the track really, really well. That sort of style I like. You know, I like the sort of style of playing in this case. I think it's really nice. It's a really nice track. I suppose it's like a sort of like a ballad, I suppose you could say it is, but it reminds me, I think somebody put a comment on there and I thought, yeah, I agree with that. They mentioned Sting and I was thinking of Fields of Gold. I know it's not quite the same, but that sort of vocal with that sort of guitar style, it did remind me a bit of that, but I thought the production was excellent. I thought the voice was strong, very well produced. The vocal, the lyrics were very meaningful. You know, it told a story from my point of view, and that's something I would listen to again. Definitely, I thought it was a very well produced song. I liked it. That's the sort of thing I like listening to. Yeah, that's definitely got a thumbs up from me, 100%.
Awesome, Carlos Fandango.
Yeah, interesting you should say about Sting, because I've written that. I didn't write that in my comments originally on the track, but I did write it down just then because I was thinking, it sounds like another artist, and I couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah.
It's something from the noughties, but then I suddenly thought, stylistically and the vocal as well, that sort of smooth, sort of husky voice, you've got the Sting sound. So that's the sort of song that Sting would do these days. So right, this is not a criticism, but this is a very radio-friendly and contemporary voice and a good, well-produced professional song. Lovely little guitar intro as well that gets your attention. I feel like it could build more, but then I think in reality, the track is probably handled the way it should be, and it's just, it's that kind of song. It's a contemplative, reflective relationship song. It's relatable to a lot of people who have been going through relationship troubles, difficulties, and angst and woes. So it's definitely something that people could hook onto and think about. Modern day ballad sort of style. For me, it's not. I like stuff that really catches my interest and is a lot more happening, and it's sort of very like on a sort of even keel all the way through the song. So for me, it's not. Yes, I recognise that a lot of people like this kind of music these days, and it's very radio friendly. So, and I like it. It's a good song, but it's the difference between the sort of song that Sting used to write with the Police to what the sort of songs he does now, which is fine, but they are kind of not as outstanding as they were, if you know what I mean. So, he still writes good songs, but it's not quite the same. But this is a good song. It's definitely, this is the sort of songs you hear on the radio that are hits. So, that's all I could. That's the main thing I can say, which is a big compliment, really.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this much. I didn't think about the Sting correlation either. I was trying to put my finger on it, and I actually wrote down Griffin Bryce, because if you remember Griffin Bryce from the last episode that we had with the song Sun Chaser. So,
oh yes, yeah.
It kind of really reminded me of that kind of vibe. Whereas Griffin was a bit more poppy, this one was a bit more rocky. I think the vocals were in this one were kind of like overpowering a little bit at certain points. So it kind of like makes me think that it was done probably in a few takes. Take the best one and meld them together, and they just need a little bit of equalization. But overall, to your point here, it's a very relatable song. We've had, I think, 1, 2, 3. I think this would be the fourth kind of like breakup song that there is, and really makes you sit down and think and contemplate with the lyrics, because the lyrics overall are good. And it was just from the production standpoint, as Rich was mentioning, that there's a lot of reverb in the vocals. I think I think that reverb kind of like just pushed those vocals a little bit over the instruments, and then kind of like the auto correction later on made the vocals kind of like compensate. Made the instruments kind of compensate a little bit over the vocals. But overall, great song. Once again, radio friendly. Little work to be done, but if this is what we're going to expect from Koha, then I think that there's more good things in the future. I'm going to say my personal stance on that. So very well done. The show's moving right along, isn't it?
It is indeed. Yeah, we're on a real proper canter at the moment.
So I'm looking at Suzanne Van Randwyck. Spelled very kind of Van Randwyck.
Yeah, Van Randwyck. So I think, well, it sounds very Dutch to me. Although she's from Austin, Texas, USA.
That it is Austin, Texas.
Yeah, singer-songwriter with a passion for Americana, folk rock, and the blues. She's performed in and around Austin, Texas since 2005 as a solo act and within a band and as part of Girl Guitar and Jam Room. But this is her own stuff. Now, she's actually a U.S. Air Force veteran in the description here. And she wrote this song for all the veterans who are suffering from PTSD. So for anyone who doesn't know, this post-traumatic stress disorder, struggling to get through each day, they need our help and support, but often don't know how to reach out. So I hope these words help folks understand.
Well, just for being a U.S. Air Force veteran and writing a song for people that are suffering with PTSD, especially from the military, I'm going to give her 3 fires right there, just off the bat, even before hearing the song.
Raise a glass.
Raise a glass.
Refill it.
Yeah. Refill coming up after this song, right? So
we're getting through this wine faster than we're getting through the show.
You kind of hit the Jim Beam a little heavy last show. Also,
I did, didn't I? Or did it notice?
No, I mean, you were pouring small glasses, but I could have swore you had about like 4 or 5 drinks.
Probably it was mostly ice.
Yeah. But we record this show for a very long time. Sometimes hours on end here, right? So, yeah, let's check this out though. Susan Van Randwyck, Soul in a War Zone. I just hope it's not like. It might be super sad. I might shed a tear on this one here. So you may. Let's get through this one, and we'll get back to the review right afterwards. Suzanne Van Randwyck. I just want to make sure I'm saying that right. Soul in a War Zone, also available on Spotify.
They sent me off to fight somebody else's war. And though I made it back, I'm different from before. Nobody can see a part of me got left behind, replaced by this chaos in my mind. Each day I fight my way through mental misery. I scream in silence so nobody hears me. Overwhelmed with pain, I crawl into a lonely shell, locked away inside my private hell. My soul is in a war zone, battered and confused. I can't go on, so broken and bruised, trapped behind a wall of never-ending doubt. I need someone to show me the way out. judge and jury as I put myself on trial. Memories march through my head in regimental single file. Over and over, they tell me that I am to blame. Oh, they beat me down and bury me in shame. I'm not strong enough to face this world alone. I need to get back to the life I left at home. So I stand tall, and even though I'm going to fall, I gotta hold on and give it my all. My soul is in a war zone, but I can't give up this fight. I can't go on letting darkness steal my light. Gotta break down this wall of never-ending doubt. I need someone to show me the way out. Is there anyone to show me the way out?
Guest commentator Rich Davis, let us know what you think, sir.
Yeah, it's a lovely song. It's a bit of a tearjerker, that one, I think. Lovely guitar work. I particularly like that. I don't know whether it's a double bass. I'm not sure what it is. That sort of bass riff going on in the background. I thought I really liked it. Voice is very nice. Very meaningful lyrics, very easy on the ear to listen to. I was very, very impressed with it. The only thing I thought, and it might be my end, this, I think it was around between about 2:30 and 3 minutes. I think there was an instrumental break when there was no vocals, just an instrumental that at my end came through a bit muffled. The instrumentation didn't come through that clear, but again, that may be me, maybe my end. But apart from that, I thought it was a very nice track, and a sad track, but a very meaningful one. And I think the vocals were very nice. Got a lovely voice.
Absolutely.
So I was impressed. Just that little instrumental bit didn't quite come through clear enough. It was a bit muffled, but again, that could be my end. But apart from that, I was impressed.
I absolutely agree. Carlos Fandango, sir.
Yeah, I really like the intro with this sort of thumping sort of heartbeat drum type thing going on. I think it's a fretless bass, might be a double bass, but feels to me like a fretless one because of the movement of the way it's sort of, but extremely plaintive because of it. And
it's lovely.
It's the right instrument to use for the bass there. And the strings are sort of kind of subtle and discreet, but harrowing, really. They really go well. The way they're done and applied and played is so perfect for the song. It's very sort of folk, country, Americana, very roots, very American roots music, and heartfelt lyrics, really touching. This will connect with a lot of people, and this one I could hear a lot of times and enjoy it. Vocally, I think to me, very sort of Judy Collins, or maybe even a sort of softer version of Joan Baez. Really, that sort of crisp clearness and clarity of her voice, and the nice vocals, but without the sort of the slightly harshness that Joan Baez has, but sort of a softer version, alternate universe version of Joan Baez, perhaps. But really, really thought that was a good track.
Yep. I know a few people that have been in the military that, you know, and it's one of the bigger things with the veterans is everyone's always very sympathetic of those who are going through PTSD, and obviously we should find some kind of organization or some kind of charity that we can plug on here that has to do with that. Just because, once again, I know people that have been in Vietnam, like literally, that are still alive, and I know people that have been in today's modern Air Force, especially one of my friends that lives close by on the other side of Tampa here. I got to say, the first thing that I got when the song was starting off was a Bon Jovi feel to it. Kind of felt like Dead or Alive was coming together. When the lyrics started coming in and the song started progressing, I was really thinking like Sarah McLachlan or the Zombies, with it was just amazing. And I had the monitors going here, and the fretless bass, as you're kind of like mentioning here, really had that air pushing out. Did Carlos freeze, or is he just like focused on? Yeah, it looks like Carlos froze. He maybe got kicked off. So yeah, I got to say, once again, the fretless bass was kind of like just pushing the air out of the monitors here, and it was just overall it filled the entire room with the acoustics. It was just a very, very nice song, heartfelt lyrics, great production. The fiddle kind of like coming in there and just kind of giving it just a little bit more of that eerie sound to it was just absolutely brilliant. And if we could read Carlos is good for this, because he will usually leave the last comment on a track. And so Carlos's comment is, Suzanne, this is a hauntingly beautiful song, lovely work, and great lyrical content. I'll try to get you featured on the Underground Sound Show with DJ X-Tech soon. Also, given the content of this song, you might also like a song that I worked on with my friend in Germany, Paul Atkinson, also on Slaps. And then he leaves the link for that. So it is by all intents and purposes a very hauntingly beautiful, meaningful song. It definitely has that effect to it. Welcome everyone to the second half of the Underground Sound here. I am joined with Rich Davis and Carlos Fandango. As always, we are putting the us back into the music.
So please do like, subscribe, and share, and let's get your music out there.
Mr. Rich Davis, how did you enjoy the first half of the show?
Yeah, there was a good variety of music, and certainly some stuff that I wouldn't normally listen, but I'm always open to listening to different types of music because I appreciate what goes into it, what goes into making music, producing something, creating something from scratch. So it's nice to hear what different people do, and I like listening to different styles of music. So the first half I enjoyed it. It opens my eyes to what other people are doing. I think that's got to be a positive thing.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's where we really came up with the idea of putting the us back into music, is because it is musicians for musicians here and everything like that. So we definitely want to promote the stuff that you're not going to hear on the radio.
Yeah,
and for the most part, it is very, very, very great stuff. And just the last song that we heard before Carlos Fandango's Mac decided to catch a fever, and now he's giving it an ice bath and patting it down with cold water and
whatever else.
Making it a bit of a submersible. So hopefully it's getting a little more frequent, but hopefully Carlos will be with us for the rest of the show here, right? So
hopefully so, yeah.
If not, we will still wait for him. So what do we got going on here, Carl, for track number 6?
All right, track number 6 is an artist called Harrison Dolan from New York in the USA. He says, "Hi, my name's Harrison, and I'm a multi-instrumentalist from New York and Rhode Island. I hope that my music will inspire others to be their true selves, breaking away from the mold rather than compromising what they really want to do." So, yeah, well, and he looks like he's the only influence he shares with me is David Bowie, but he's also got influences of, oh, well, there's Steely Dan, Joni Mitchell, Kendrick Lamar, John Mayer, Bo Burnham, 21 Pilots. So quite a range of influences. And this song, I think, is called Sora's Piece.
Sora's Piece is as in piece of the pie, not like piece as in the Shaolin monk's piece. We have the song available on Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Music as it is known now. Is this Deezer? That's Tidal, actually. YouTube, Bandcamp, and SoundCloud. So he's got quite a few links out for this here. Talking about alternative pop and indie music. Harrison Doyle with Sora's Piece. Let's check it out.
Well, Kyrie left and my hair's a mess. I don't know why I try it, what I expect. My life's a wreck, running on the track in reverse. You can't leave town when you're stuck backwards. The look in your eyes got me risen from the grave. I can move both heaven and earth, but you complain. And we know round here that it stays the same. While the rain comes down, let's waste away.
A bit of an abrupt ending here. Carlos Fandango, what say you, sir?
Right. Okay. So I think it's quite good from the start. You get that guitar and bass interaction. The bass is pretty good and funky. Um, they go nicely together. It's been well produced. It's well put together. You got that slightly jazzy chord changes and unusual, clever chord changes of Steely Dan in there. So I can really hear their influence. The vocals, interestingly, it starts off almost like there's a sort of a Lou Reed style vocal, but then suddenly it turns into that he's doing sort of urban hip hop sort of kind of style. So Lou Reed doing hip hop, and then it turns into sort of with that sort of like a 60s influence with the high female octave above, vocal, with his low vocal. And then it goes into sort of like this wah pedal guitar solo that's kind of probably influenced by Prince and Steely Dan and that kind of thing. So I think I might have put in my comments on Slaps that it's quite a fusion of styles, and the song itself is on shifting sands, and it's forever changing. And then you've got that little bit at the end that's sort of just an unusual sort of weird, sort of unusual sort of odd end as well. And I quite like that. It's just an unsettled song. And again, I think the heaviest influence is definitely the Steely Dan thing, because they had that sort of jazz feel where the direction of the song could change on a sixpence, so or change on a dime, as you might say. Yeah, but I really like that one. It's an unusual song. It's not like your regular radio-friendly listening sort of song, but if somebody's into Prince, somebody's into jazz, Steely Dan, they're going to like this sort of one.
Mr. Rich Davis, how about your thoughts here?
Yeah, it's an interesting song. There's a lot of variety, in that song. I like the guitar, I like the bass. I think there was some slap bass in there, but it's a very funky track. You got changes in tempo. I'm sure when that guitar solo came in, there was a key change, which made it interesting. When it went, I don't know where, is it a wah guitar? It sounds like a guitar with an effect that's played. But yeah, it was interesting. It kept changing. It wasn't a track that was the same all the way through. It had a lot of changes, and I think the female vocal, so over the male vocal, I thought that worked really well when that came in. The balance was nice, and it complemented both the vocals complemented each other really well. So yeah, I liked it because it was different. It's not normally what I would listen to, but there was a lot of variety in there. I like variety. I like changes in a song where the unexpected happens, and I think in that track the unexpected did happen a number of times. So for me it was different, but it was enjoyable to listen to. Well produced as well.
Yeah, I think the production was good. I don't know if either of you, I should say, would recall a band called the Flowbots. The Flowbots were pretty hot for a bit. They had a song called Handlebars, which was their most recognizable one. They did a kind of a politically themed album, but this right off the bat, it kind of reminded me of the Flowbots. But then it kind of like changed, right? Because it had this kind of like jazz infused kind of like rhythm, and the female vocals started coming in. And what I liked about the female vocals was when it started to switch into the midsection of the song. In the midsection of the song, the female vocals kind of like stopped and they went into the guitar solo, which really reminded me of, if you remember, like back in the day with Peter Frampton. Peter Frampton would put that tube in his mouth, right? And, and he'd basically wah the guitar with, with his vocals. And that's really where that kind of like took off for me. So I think a lot of Peter Frampton fans might like this jam here. Turn into a great guitar solo. The vocals and the male vocals kind of like being off pitch and on pitch at certain points kind of made it seem as if the song was kind of like speeding up or slowing down. But you really couldn't tell. That would be the only criticism that I would have here, in a quote unquote negative kind of like fashion, would be that maybe cut those pitch shifts out of the song and just kind of like leave the song as is, because I think that the song is working without those pitch shifts happening, because that one was, I believe, 3:30. Was that what it was? About 3 minutes. Seconds?
Around that, yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that you know, cutting the 10 seconds here and the 10 seconds there with the pitch shift would work just fine for this song. But overall, I mean, has like a nice rap hip hop style. Once again, jazz infused rhythm with this Peter Frampton element to it. I think that the song overall is very listenable. Very listenable. Might even be, you know, playlistable. So check it out. If you don't know where to find these artists yet and you like that song, the description of the video below will contain the links to these artists. Find these artists, go show some love. I always love that Carlos is the last comment.
Often.
Often, yeah, because I know that Carlos does actually like to listen to these songs all the way through and absorb them, and then finally kind of like give a final thought, kind of like a Jerry Springer style, right? When you used to have Jerry Springer on TV, Jerry Springer would always have final thoughts after everybody else kicked each other's asses. You know, you would have Jerry's final thought, and so.
Or Columbo, and another thing.
Yeah, another thing when he's walking off, he'd turn around, wouldn't he? And
that's it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Put his finger up.
Oh, yes, it Carlumbo.
Carlumbo. The English pronunciation, all right. The proper English pronunciation, Columbo. But for this next track that we have coming up here, Spencer Crosser, La Di Da. Carlos looks like the first comment, the last comment, the only comment.
Yeah, that's why I thought we better share it.
Yeah, the one save and the 3 fires look like they come from our very own Carlos Fandango. So, Carlos, tell us more about Spencer here.
Right, so Spencer Crosser is an electronic musician from rural Northeast Ohio. His music is a nostalgic spin on 80s synth pop featuring echoing vocals, hard-hitting rhythms, and hypnotic grooves. The melodic pulsing of an electronic heart. So that's quite interesting. And the song itself, I thought the title was quite interesting, La Di Da. But what got my interest was, it says, from my new album, Gather Round the Table, out everywhere from September the 21st. So it's out now, featuring my band and a 1956 Shantz pipe organ. And I thought, and he says, I hope you like it. And I thought, oh, this could be interesting.
This might very well be right up Rich's alley here, huh?
Could be.
Never know. Never know.
I mean, we got the 1956 going. Here we go. So let's take a listen, dive a little bit deeper into the music here. Spencer Crosser with La Di Da. I'm obviously hitting the wrong arrow at that point. Here we go. Now we're really starting the song. I am automatically just going to assume that our friend Spencer there has some Irish roots. Carlos Fandango, take this one away.
The pipe organ, the Shantz pipe organ is, yes, a lovely sound. I mean, I think you can probably make more of the deep notes even, because pipe organ always sounds awesome, particularly on the deep notes. There's not many songs use them either. I mean, the only one I could think of off the top of my head would be, and pop songs or commercial songs would be Led Zeppelin, Your Time Is Gonna Come is the only thing I can think of with a long pipe organ intro. I can't really call it a pipe organ, but this is a sort of post-punk. See, this is listed as synth pop, and it's about as far from synth pop. There are synthesizers in there, but it's more away from synth pop than I can imagine. It's more sort of post-punk, alt rock, folk rock, classical rock. It's a bit sort of like a 10-pole Tudor 1980s band in the UK versus Jethro Tull sort of thing. I know it's a bit of a weird mishmash, but what a catchy chorus. Really good, and it sort of stays in your head. The one thing I would say, and I think I put it in my comments to Spencer, was that I think that the loudness of the mix could be boosted a little bit, and it was just a bit quiet, and just a bit more attention to sort of the actual whole mix itself and where the instruments sit would be good, and then it's a limited market for the sort of music, but I really like it, and I think there'll be people out there that quite like that sort of quirky nature of the song.
I agree, Mr. Rich Davis.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that organ intro. I think, like Carl's saying, if it had come out a bit more in the mix, it was maybe a little bit louder, a bit more distinctive to get the real sound of the organ, different tones of it. I think that's the only thing I'd say at the start. It was a bit quiet from my point of view. But the chorus, and when it got into the chorus bit, the other instruments came in with the organ. I thought it was very catchy. The vocal reminded, I don't know why I thought of You Spin Me Right Round, maybe Right Round, but I think it was that Pete Burns, that sort of vocal sound made me think of him, when I first heard that vocal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's quite a quirky track. But I think if the organ could come through a bit more, be nice to hear a bit more of it. It'd be a little bit more prominent in the song, because like you say, there's not a lot of songs that have an organ in that I'm aware of, certainly not these days. So it'd be nice for that to be a bit more prominent in the mix. But I like the song. I like the catchy chorus. I like the vocals. It did make me think of Pete Burns. I thought of that straight away. I liked it, but I'd like to hear that organ a bit more prominent. But that would be my only sort of criticism. I like to hear a bit more of that, because it's character and it's not an instrument you hear very much of in modern music. Nice to be able to hear a bit more of it.
Yeah, no,
barring that, I liked it.
Yeah, like I said, old Irish folk, old Scottish folk, kind of like vibe to it. You know what I mean? A little bit of spoken word along with the melodies. The intro really reminded me for just around our age, if you remember the video game Castlevania, or Phantom of the Opera for that matter, right?
Yeah, I thought
this would have been a great
the opera.
intro. The organ really worked well, and it was kind of like the intro kind of like seemed like the highlight of the song itself, right? Because we really dipped into it, and then the volume got kind of low and just kind of like mixed at the same rate as with the entire song. Listen, nothing wrong with that, especially if this is an initial track, because looking at the profile here, the other track had been posted over a year ago, and I'm not even sure if that's a different track. The other track is called I'm Annoying, so it would be a differently named track. So this one was posted 9 days ago as opposed to the last one, which was posted a year ago. So I think we're talking about a musician that's just really getting into himself and into his music stylings. But I mean, for there's an easy remedy to the loudness. of the song. You know, it's just a little bit of equalization, a little bit more compression, and we'll be fine with that. Really, kind of like reminded me of the Doors as well. You know, with the when the vocals came in and the organ was playing in the background. Alongside with it, sounded kind of like an old-timey Irish folk song. I think that it was very reminiscent of the Doors. So I think we're definitely hitting on that kind of like, let's say, 70s 60s feel to the music and putting a nice modern spin on the lyrics, I would say. And I think it was done overall, and just with a little bit of help in production, I think it could do very well. So
definitely
props to Spencer Crosser here from Ohio. Probably not the biggest market for organ-esque music. I don't even know what they listen to in Ohio, to tell you the truth. Ohio is just kind of like in a really weird spot. It's almost East Coast, it's almost Midwest. It's just kind of like there. It's, you know, we got kind of like Indiana with the cornfields, and then just all of a sudden there's like Ohio in between, you know, not too far away from Chicago either. So Chicago, as you know, known very much for the blues. But yeah, Ohio, you never really hear like, hey, this guy out of Dayton, Ohio, you know. So
well, maybe this is it, the new thing, the Ohio organ.
There you go, the Ohio organ. Take it away.
Famous for its organ music.
founded by Spencer Crosser.
Yeah,
with his song La Di Da, making the Ohio organ super famous. So remember, folks, you can find these artists in the video description below. Please do send them a like. Say, hey, I liked your music. If you're going to head on Spotify, then obviously save them onto your playlist. Show a little bit of love to these artists that are putting out this great music out there for you, because they are very determined and they are very passionate about getting their music out. We don't have to follow the mainstream stance. We can help the little guys out here, as it were. And just, you know, a little bit of love goes a very, very long way, believe me, because if somebody picks up that their song was, you know, favorited in somebody's playlist, it really does make their day, and makes them create even more of the music that you will come to like watching the show. Hypnotize. Could be. All righty. On to the Purple Bowl of Destiny.
Here it comes. What's this?
Right.
That's not the purple bowl, that's pink. Ta-da! Oh, phew, I was getting scared there.
Oh, my goodness.
Om Shira. Right, okay, say when. I'll look away.
Okay, okay now.
Right, oh, that's one there. That one leapt into my hand. Oh, okay, we haven't heard this one for possibly ever. It's heavy metal, a bit blurry, but
heavy metal.
Yes.
All right.
So we've had Latin and heavy metal tonight.
This one should be pretty.
You know, I think the other one, Rich, that was just fell out of my hand was classical. So, yeah. And we haven't had classical for some time. I'll have to choose a classical one. There's not been many uploads. There's a few here and there.
There's a few around, isn't there?
Yeah, and they tend to be the sort of more music, film and TV type compositions, if they're classical, and it's a lot of that kind of music, you know. So it's good stuff, but similar stuff rather than actual what I would call, you know, proper classical music,
like movie theme style, and
a lot of that, yeah. So, yeah, it's heavy metal. I don't think we've actually had much. We've had a little bit. We had Tim McMillan, didn't we, before, with a sort of proper sort of metal song.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been much at all. So this one, it would be the newest one. I can't believe this is really kind of like striking me as very odd. Heavy metal, 217 members only.
That's very few for heavy metal.
That's not very many, is it?
It really is. The metal, genre had quite a few more, but this is heavy metal. Oh no, Our Vile Goddess also we had on.
Oh yes, we did. There was sort of thrash metal type
Yeah,
thing.
that was the
Yeah.
thrash. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, here we go. So Michael Nervous. Let's learn a little bit about Michael Nervous here. Michael Nervous is from New Braunfels, Texas, USA. Look at this. Not bad stats. 89 followers, 3,719 plays.
Wow.
With 30 tracks.
Oh, that's very good.
A whole bunch of, I think he just popped in everything that he could as far as the genres are concerned, because we got.
I'm going to say he's got a huge list, doesn't he?
Urban Talent, DistroKid, Urban Hip Hop Underground. Yes, I would say that he's just kind of like trying to cover all bases there. But we got 86 influences. Black Moth, Super Rainbow. Have no idea there. The Orb, Chemical Brothers. I know the Chemical Brothers. Steve Hauschmidt, John Hopkins, Olivia Block, Beach House, Moon Duo, Not Waving, Beck. There's a big one there. Sonic Youth, Depeche Mode, MGMT, M83, Bjork, Pixies. I think that, yeah. I think that we just have. Well, this is what we do with the Purple Bowl of Destiny. This is this is the newest track of the heavy metal genre. Michael Nervous. This song is called Bad Back. Let's check it out, and then we'll chat about it a bit. Whoever wants to start that one off, you're more than welcome to. Oops, sorry.
Well, should we say Rich? Throw you
yeah,
into the deep
why
end?
not? Why not? Let's Rich, our guest,
throw you to the lions.
There we go.
Throw me to the line. Yeah, it's very electronic. I can't see a heavy metal side to the track, to be honest. Towards, I think after the beginning, I could hear little bits of Depeche Mode in there. It's very sort of 80s electronic-y, isn't it?
Were they having a seizure?
But when you got these very quick, it almost seems like random notes, sort of going round and round. You know, like almost like they're having a fit or something. Sort of. Yeah, it's very different. The bit where it's very random, I can't quite get into that personally. Because I can't pick up any sort of melody. It just seemed to be a lot of random notes together, and there was too much going on for me at that point. I know it's a personal thing. It's obviously very cleverly produced, but it wasn't quite for me. I quite like the beginning, but that bit that went very random, I couldn't. That wouldn't be the sort of thing I would normally listen to. Maybe it could be used in some sort of maybe some type of gaming type of thing. Maybe if it was put into the right sort of thing, I could imagine it being used in a game of some sort because of that randomness of the music. That's what I would say. It's not personally for me. I appreciate it's very clever the way it's been produced. I could see it being used in gaming specifically. I'm not sure it would be a mainstream sort of track that people would listen to on the radio. I'm not sure, but that again, that's just my personal view.
Yeah, I agree. There may be a market for this type of music. It's definitely not in the mainstream. It goes back to this thing where I really don't know what kids are like listening to these days, if this is something that appeals, because I know that they started doing the one thing, right, where they like really pumped up the volume on the rap songs so that way the music was super distorted as it was kicking. So I don't know if this has to do with maybe kind of like following that type of trend. And I'll call it a trend because I really don't think of this as a genre, because I'm going to say for a genre of music to be collected, it would have to mean that there would be a mass appeal to that genre. So I really wouldn't call this a genre. And I think that maybe this is why every single genre, like in the book, was picked for this song, which was synthwave, upcoming, alternative rock, dance, classical, metal, blues, southern hip hop, guitar, indie rock, progressive metal. It really doesn't fit anywhere, but it fits everywhere at the same time. So even though there might be a limited audience listening to this definitely, I think possibly Michael Nervous understands also that this is not a sustainable sort of genre to be in, quote unquote. Carlos, what say you here?
Yeah, I've got written down the same thing, gaming music, and I think there's a niche, very niche market for it. I mean, it's it's not really heavy metal, but it's like a Commodore 64 doing heavy metal, or it's Kraftwerk programming a ZX Spectrum or something like that. But it obviously took a long time to program. And the odd thing is, right at the end, there's a little bit of sort of 80s or late 70s, early 80s Vangelis sort of synth, this right at the end thrown in for good measure. So it's not unenjoyable, but it's very niche. I think that's the big takeaway from that one. But yeah, there are people that do like the sort of gaming music and the technical computer music. So yeah, there's a space for it. It won't be on the radio, but there is a space for it.
Okay. Well, Purple Bowl's 1 for 2 today, so I'll give it that much. So yeah. No, I feel. Listen, this may be also a young producer coming into their own skin. So if that's the case, obviously we wish you the best of luck. I just honestly, myself personally at this moment, with as kind of like weird, eclectic, and as fast paced as that song was, I just don't see it.
But if Michael Nervous is enjoying doing what he's doing and he's reaching out to a limited small audience, and if they're enjoying it, his audience is enjoying it, then that's doing its job. It's good.
Absolutely. Listen, there's no such thing as bad music.
No.
If you hit even just one person and you leave an impact with your music on just one person, then the music has done its job. And I'm sure that there is at least one person out there that will enjoy that thoroughly from start to finish. And yeah, so just once again, don't ever get discouraged. If you're making music, especially if you're making it for the first time. I know people are very shy about putting their music out for the very first time, especially if like let's say if there are singing behind it, right? Like myself personally, my first song that I released was called The Outer Limits, and I was super nervous hitting that submit button and it finally being out there on the internet, because I knew what was happening is that at this point everybody and their mother could possibly hear it. Maybe nobody would hear it, but just the thought of everybody and their mother hearing that song was enough to really cause a lot of anxiety on this side of the keyboard. So I do understand that, especially with young producers and especially with vocalists, if you're putting your voice out there, especially also, then that just gives even that much more anxiety to the entire thing. So just here, listen, don't be discouraged with the music that you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. At the Underground Sound, we're going to love to hear it either way. So, but think of that impact that you may make to one person, right? So just don't give up on the dream of music. Music is absolutely fantastic, whether it ends up on the radio or whether it ends up as a comment that somebody had made, 10 years down the line. So moving on to our next song here. Orange County Death March.
Yeah. I think when I heard the song, I quite like the song, but also like the artwork as well. So, all the old historic sort of Victorian boxing artwork and all that kind of thing is quite appealing. And the title of the band, Orange County Death March, is quite unusual. But so basically, I was thinking, there must be. Well, I wasn't sure where they'd be from, but they're Los Angeles, California. Born out of isolation and hardship, proving that you can dance the pain away. And the song itself says, in an obvious way, we have all been played. At a pivotal time, our covers have all been blown to the enemy. This song was written quite a few years ago, but one could imagine it being written today. For those hungry for a protest song that doesn't beat them over the head, this is the one. So I think, for those who like some thoughtful lyrics, I think they'll quite enjoy this one.
Okay. Well, without further ado, Orange County Death March with Covers.
I'm happy to say that even my worst defense is tighter than everyone else's best on a perfect day. Sometimes living a lie is easier than the truth. All of the concrete proof is set against you in an obvious way. We have all been played in a pivotal time. Our covers have all been blown for the enemy. No one's leaving the room. They're reading each other's eyes, hoping that no one's wise to their next move. Sometimes the paranoid are actually being watched. I don't care what they want. You better run, boy. In an obvious way, we have all been played at a pivotal time. Our covers have all been blown for the enemy. Imagine the room where all of their eyes are loud.
Mr. Davis, take it away for us, sir.
Yeah, it's an interesting track. Yeah, definitely where it's got the sort of beats coming in. There's definitely the march element to the piece, definitely. I thought maybe a little bit early on, maybe the vocals were drowning out maybe the instrumentation a little bit in the background. I thought maybe the vocal was a tiny bit too strong for me. But yeah, it certainly got that march element. It's quite a dark piece. It sort of seems quite a dark mood to it. But yeah, there's some interesting aspects to it. I noticed there was a little bit of acoustic guitar. I could pick up little bits of it, but I couldn't pick it up very often. And there was a bit of sort of like whether it's a bit of keyboard or sustained chords here and there, but I couldn't hear them very well. I thought maybe the vocal was a little bit too strong, and maybe there could have been like a sort of middle 8 or something in the middle just to sort of break things up a wee bit. I thought maybe it was a bit samey, but that's just an opinion. But certainly it's a good song. I just thought it could have been done with a bit of a change in the middle, maybe a key change or like a middle 8. But also thought the vocal was maybe a little bit overpowering at times. I don't know whether it was deliberate because it's a march. It's sort of quite a dark mood. Maybe that was intentional to have the vocal be very prominent. Maybe that's the case. I thought personally it was maybe a little bit too prominent. But yes, certainly still a good song and a very good effort.
All right. Monsieur Fandango.
Oui. Okay, so I really like the intro, and I think, yes, the vocals are prominent on this one, and I agree in that respect. Yes, not the word isn't overpowering, but I think it's a deliberate move. I'm guessing because then the focus is on the person, the individual, the singer. So because it then goes with this, well, that my argument would be, yeah, that was why I would put it in a prominent place, is because, I take it that the cover being blown is us putting all our stuff on. Well, my take on it is that it's all about social media. Yeah, we've got all our information out there. Everything's going cashless, and they can track our movements. And our cover's been blown to the enemy. So basically, you put all your views out there, and everybody knows what you think, what you had for breakfast, and all sorts of things. So it's yes, as a comment on, I guess, it would have applied still 10 years ago or whenever they wrote it, but it's certainly applicable now more than ever. It's certainly got a sound of, I couldn't quite place it as sort of Hosier, maybe, Zac Brown Band mainly, maybe Bear's Den, sort of Agape sort of sound, something like that. But it's nice sound, it's sort of slightly folky sort of sound. I like the rhythms, the marching rhythms and things, the stop-start of the song. I think Rich is right. It could probably develop a bit more. But that said, it was just a sort of, again, one of those productions that sort of samey, but maybe it had to be handled in a certain way and couldn't become too big and overblown and then ebb away or anything like that. But it just had to be dealt with a certain way. I think on my comments I'd put on Slaps was that there's an analog lead synth in the break. So that was as close as to middle 8 as I think it got really there, but it had a bit of distortion on it, which was a nice little touch. But yeah, I think it's quite a subtle production. What have I written here? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I've said already. So, but I think, the background ambience. I like all the sort of synthesizer sounds and things and eerie sounds. It was a dark song, and all those sort of sounds in the background and in the intro, just subtly in the background going through it. And when it went quiet, there's just that eerie sort of long note. So yeah, I think that's quite a good song actually. I like that one, and it's whether it's radio friendly enough, I don't know, but I know there's a lot of people follow that kind of sort of slightly folky music, so it's definitely got an audience potential.
Modern folk, sure. Yeah.
Mm.
It's kind of hard for me to pinpoint where I am with this song, honestly, to tell you the truth, because it kind of like has kind of like a Red Hot Chili Peppers feel to it, but not like 100%, right? So it wouldn't be like really Red Hot Chili Peppers. I wouldn't even say it's like really Radiohead, because Radiohead tends to have a little bit of the darker stance to their music, as opposed to where the Red Hot Chili Peppers would be a little bit more lively and upbeat. So this song would kind of fall like somewhere like in the middle there. And I can't really think of a band that would remind me of like 100%. It is lyrically a prominent song to today's climate, maybe as let's just the political climate. The political climate today, as opposed to 10 years ago or however long ago, could be possibly the same here. One thing that was bothering me throughout the whole song, so something that Rich may have picked up on there through the computer speakers without having headphones on, is that the guitar was panned all the way to the left. So you get this heavy guitar sound in the left ear, with kind of like the vocals, like kind of like being like encompassing through both, kind of like the middle of the brain, right? And and that kind of like threw me off a little bit. I didn't like just constantly hearing the strumming of the guitar here on the left side. It did kind of bother me. Like, I understand that if you have a little bit of a pan, but you leave a little bit over here, but it almost sounded like 100% pan on the left, as opposed to like, let's say an 80-20, right? Because that would kind of like encapsulate the vocals. So
was that the acoustic or electric guitar?
I thought it was acoustic.
So normally you'd try and put two acoustics. Well, even if they're doing something slightly different, it's nice to have that balance of two acoustics. I used to sort of put an acoustic guitar in, but I then sort of started doing two on either side. So you've got that balance then, and there's always a bit of dynamic going on, but you're getting that general sound always from both sides then, even if they're doing something slightly different. So I think that's worth doing, as well as panning them to the far sides.
Yeah.
I
mean, I could do a little bit of a tutorial, just like, not like at this very second, but I could put one together probably in about 10 or 15, minutes, showing the importance of like having, like, let's say, 100% balanced track of an acoustic take, and then having an acoustic take that you do over the 100% balance, but then you kind of just clip the slices away, and you balance that out to, like, let's say an 80% over onto the left versus the right, and the melody flows so richly at that point, because you do have 50-50, 100, right? So you do have a 50-50 balance, and then you have that 80-20 balance where you can still hear over here, as opposed to it being like all over here, which can in turn make your vocals sound like they're overtaking, or at this point, in the case of this song, where they're underwhelming, because you have this kind of going on, and this portion is kind of like annoying you to no end, really. You know what I mean? Because all I'm hearing here is the strumming of that acoustic guitar. That's it. Acoustic guitar with metal strings on it as well. Because maybe if it was an acoustic guitar with vinyl strings with 100% pan, and just kind of like the volume kind of like tuned down a little bit more, then maybe it could have like sounded a little bit better. But now we're talking about an acoustic guitar with metal strings on it that's 100% pan with, like, let's say about 85-90% volume. Now we're talking about something that's really, really, really just catching right over here. You know what I mean? So that would be the negative critique to it, is there's a lot going on with that guitar, and it's just one element, as all of us know. It only takes one element for either a song to be a hit or a miss completely. And in this case, I will say that this is a bit of a miss just because of the fact of that guitar, because it does take away from the rest of what's going on with the song. Because if you listen to the song a few times, I'm sure you're going to hear, 5-10 different elements that you may have missed with just that guitar taking over that kind of like that left side of your equilibrium right there.
So you think one on either side, just a sort of nice balance, but dropped in the mix a little bit more, slightly less prominent.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you just took that one, dropped it down, like let's say 10% in volume, and then moved it over to 60-40 split, then that would just do wonders. That just changing this one thing in this track, honestly. And once again, if you guys want to stick around, I'll pull up GarageBand after we're done with the show, and I'll even include it into the show as a kind of like a tips and tricks kind of thing to show you exactly what I'm talking about. I'll pull up just a random loop, and we can all listen to it together. So yeah, but that would be my major critique from a production standpoint. Otherwise, lyrics are good, very relatable, and I do think that it's a very radio worthy and very radio friendly song. But that portion of it is going to take any A&R rep or any scout, and that is going to throw it off completely if you're looking for a music deal. Just saying. I've been there, done that.
Ooh.
Both of you are just shaking your head like you don't believe me. That's not fine.
Nice. It's good to get the advice. It's always useful. I'm learning all the time as well. It's always nice to hear all these little tips and things.
Yeah.
Again,
and reasons not to do things as well as reasons to do things a certain way.
Again, I'm not being negative. All I'm saying is what I would do in my track, because that seriously, I may as well have been listening to the song like this.
Right.
You get what I mean? Like I have the left cup off. I have the right cup off. I have the left one on, and this is the one that I may have as well have been listening to, because this is where the prominent guitar was. Because if I had it like this, I wouldn't even hear the guitar that was in here, because it was panned all the way over there. That's all that I'm saying. Not trying to be negative. Not trying to be very judgy or anything like that. I'm just saying, from a production standpoint, that's what I think needs to be done.
The Simon Cowell of the underground sound.
Oh my God. I was feeling it coming. Moving on. Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll take the Simon Cowell of the underground sound. Simon Cowell's very famous, for crying out loud.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Brett Sears here, though. So let's talk about Brett before we let the song get out of control with the Simon Cowell.
Well, I've noticed, actually, I think almost all of the artists have been from the USA tonight. So this one's Brett Sears from Baltimore in, MD. Hold on, where's MD?
Maryland,
of course. Yeah, USA. Pop singer from Baltimore. It says it here. Maryland. If only I'd read the text. Brett was a member of Steve Harvey's first Disney Dreamers Academy.
Ooh.
I don't know what that is, but
I don't know either.
No. But the song itself, it says pop dance track. It doesn't say a great deal about it. It's called Dare You to Love Me. You in the Prince fashion of a letter U. And yes, I thought it'd be quite a beaty, uplifting sort of end track. We normally try and raise the roof at the start and at the end of the show. So hopefully this one will do just the job.
Okay, Brett Sears from Baltimore has a nice 16 CTR. He's you can also find him right away on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and that looks like about it for the time being as far as the socials that he's posted. This one is called Dare You to Love Me, a pop dance track. Let's check it out.
like it, know that you like it. And everyone knows I'm just a fool, babe. And you can reciprocate all I do, babe. Want you to feel the same way I do, baby. I dare you to love me, I dare you to want me to, I dare you to need me, even if it takes the rest of my life. I dare you to love me, I dare you to love me, I dare you to love me. I dare you to love me.
For our final track, our guest commentator, Mr. Rich Davis. Take it away, sir.
Yeah, it's a good track. It's very very danceable. It's very much sort of track you'd have in a club that people would dance to. I thought the production on it was very good. Vocal, the sound of the vocal reminded me of the lead singer out of Savage Garden. For some reason, it just made me think of him. Yeah, it's very catchy, different, something that people would bop to. I'd say it's very radio friendly as well. Sort of thing they'd have on Radio 1, I think, over here. It's a track that I would think would appeal to a lot of young people who like that type of music. But yeah, I was impressed with the production. I thought his vocal production was very good. So yes, you know, I appreciate there's a lot of work gone into that, and overall very good. You know, I think that'll appeal a lot to radio listeners. A lot of the young ones will like listening to that, and the sort of thing people like to go for a bop in the local nightclub would love something like that. I think it would go down very well. So yeah, all round, well done, that man.
Agreeing with the initial comments there, Monsieur Fandango.
Yeah, do you know what? I had almost mirrored my comments. I've put very clubby. Radio 1 I've written down because it was a definite Radio 1 track.
Yeah.
In this country. Yeah, catchy chorus. I can imagine, you know, the likes of Gen Z and millennials calling this one a banger. It's proper production. The modern contemporary track, really radio friendly vocal and delivery in the modern style.
Yeah.
Not really my thing, but you know, I can hear that it's quite a catchy song, and you know, it would stay in your head. If you're in a club, you're going to dance to it. The one minor criticism, and it's just a stylistic thing that I think Tom's on board with this as well already, but is that gate sound with the volume just suddenly dropping each time right at the start. It wasn't really noticeable for the rest of the song, and certainly not as prominent as a lot of the pop songs that are out now. Yeah, just the gate thing, it just messes my head and ears up. I can't stand it, and I know a lot of people who don't like it either, but it's just one of those modern things. They just have it in the production. But other than that, I thought actually, yeah, really, really very, very professional song.
You know, Carl knows me all too well. Yeah, it was there. It was not that huge of a deal because it went by very quickly. The rest of the time, everything seemed to have this nice, as to what Carl would usually say, is a nice ebb and flow to it. Right? Everything's kind of like working together. This is definitely, you know, like kind of like Justin Bieber, Ed Sheeran-esque kind of like music with a pop and dance twist to it. which all those songs, if you can imagine any Justin Bieber song or any Ed Sheeran song having basically electronic music put, you know, behind it to light that fuse, obviously it's just going to take off everywhere. So I mean, there's a huge market for this music. If you're ever going to go to a club, if you're ever going to go to a dance bar, if you're ever going to go to any kind of like one of these situations, when you hear the song, you're going to pump it. If you're driving in your car and you're a teeny bopper, you're gonna you know, crank the music here. I like the nice little backing synth to it, right? It was very subtle in the background because it dim 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 dim, you know, and so you could hear that bass in the backing synth to it, and it had a nice 4/4 beat, which made it very, very simple and very pleasant. So nothing dramatically going on. You know, production wise, it's not like it's a huge undertaking, right? It's a pretty straight to the point, very danceable song. So very well done, Brett Sears. And I'm pretty sure I don't even know what Steve Harvey's first Disney Dreamers Academy is, but I'm assuming that would have something to do with the Mickey Mouse Club, or, you know, something that has to do with Disney there, especially with Steve Harvey on board now. But I think there's been a lot of people that have had success with that. You know, when we're talking about Justin Timberlake or Britney Spears or anyone that's been there, they've all been on the Mickey Mouse Club. They've all been somehow involved with Disney. If this chap here, Brett Sears, is in fact involved with Disney in some way, I'm pretty sure that just with that brand name behind him alone, he'll have a pretty bright future. As we're talking about, once again, the Ed Sheeran and kind of Justin Bieber-esque kind of like feel that this has overall to it. My 2 cents. Maybe I've won the respect back from the Simon Cowell of the Underground the last track there. So
no, it's good. I think Simon Cowell would like it, actually. I think it'd be impressed with that track.
Yeah, he would.
It's definitely something very marketable, isn't it? I mean, that's what he's always interested in. He sees the dollar signs.
He sees, what he can do with it to make it explode or whatever. He seems to have this.
It's the biggest thing is that music is a business, right? And this is what Simon sees. You know, I mean, if Simon sees that there is going to be a dollar profit made off of this, you know, I mean, all the record companies and all the labels are going to go after it. So I'm pretty sure that we'll hear about Brett Sears here in the future. Once again, just having that name behind him, that he actually appeared on the Disney thing, that's something that can be used for a lifetime. And all it really takes is just one person to be like, yep, okay, so you were on Disney, here we go, let's get it going for you and everything like that, right? So that's just the way the fame works, unfortunately, these days. Once again, not that it's a bad song or anything like that. Good song, good production. I think the vocals could use a little bit more tweaking myself. I could definitely show people how to do that, but you know, I'm not gonna.
Well, what would you do on that vocal there?
I'd raise it up a little bit higher. You know that I have a problem with low vocals.
Yeah.
So with Ed Sheeran, right? Ed Sheeran is up front. He's ahead of the music itself, but the music is very accompanying him. You know what I mean? So but he is definitely the head of the band, as it were. As far as that's concerned, so his vocals are up front. His storytelling is great. And you know, and all of the backing stuff is just, you know, icing on the cake at that point. So this one, I would raise the vocals. I would definitely trim, crop, and place them in different positions as well. Could be a big future going on here. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You know, so as far as a corporate perspective goes, we may have just found a superstar right there. Not exactly what we're trying to do on the Underground Sound here, you know. We are exposing the indie music to the limelight, as it were, though. So for the Underground Sound, I am DJ X Tech, our very special guest today, Rich Davis. Thank you very much for joining us for this episode.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime, you are more than welcome to come join us aboard again. And Carlos Fandango with me as always. We are putting the us back into music.
So please do like, subscribe, and share, and let's get your music out there.